The following program is a PBS Wisconsin original production.
Welcome to the farm. Today we're celebrating America's Dairyland. First, we're going to be taking a trip down to World Dairy Expo, which happens every year right here in Wisconsin. And then it's over to Sassy Cow Creamery to find out what sweet treats they're turning their milk into. But first, I wanted to show you a little bit about what's happening here on the farm, and then I'll meet you back in the dining room where we're serving our favorite farmers some delicious fondue. Gather with us around the farm table. I'm your host, Inga Witcher. Good morning, girls.
I'm Inga, and I love everything about farming. Midwestern farms are a bounty of good food made by good people.
I love being able to travel, to search out good ingredients.
Cooking is all about what's seasonal, what's fresh. Every day can be filled with good food, good friends, and a beautiful herd of cows. Welcome to the farm.
Good girl.
Around the Farm Table is funded in part by Wisconsin Farmers Union, united to grow family agriculture. Heartland Credit Union. A gift in memory of Wendy Bladorn. Focus Fund for Wisconsin Programming. And Friends of Wisconsin Public Television.
About a year ago, Chance and I lost our barn to a horrible barn fire. We woke up and the whole thing was just engulfed in flames. It was one of the hardest days of being a farmer. We lost all of our young stock. The fire was too great by the time we could get out here. We couldn't get the calves out, so we lost them. Luckily, all the milk cows were outside on pasture, so we still have the cows. We lost so much. I mean, we lost all of our, that was where we had our first date. That was where I've made so many memories over the last 14 years of milking cows alongside of our friends. Chance and I got married inside there.
I now pronounce you husband and wife. You may kiss the bride.
And I'm sure a lot of you have come along with us inside when we've been milking cows and doing all the wonderful things we did on the farm. But over the last year, we've done a lot of cleanup. We got rid of our silo. We cleaned up all the debris from the fire. And now, almost a year later, we finally got the barn back up. We're ready for business. We're feeling more optimistic every day. So we have the shell of the barn up. We're finishing with those details inside, and soon we'll have a full creamery inside. So I can't wait for next summer when we'll be back up milking cows and making cheese. But now it's time for me to go take care of those little cows and feed them a bale of hay. I love the summer and the springtime when I'm grazing every day, switching those cows to different paddocks every 12 hours. In the wintertime, I can still kind of graze by bale grazing. So the cows are still out on the pasture. I'll bring them in once there's too much snow out here for me to get here with my skid steer. But in the meantime, I can feed their hay out here. This saves a lot of labor. I don't have to haul manure every day. I don't have to scrape manure every day. And the best part is I can pick those spots on my farm where I might need that extra nutrients from the manure. That's where I'm going to put that bale of hay. The cows are going to stand around that. They're going to eat that hay bale, and then they're going to put their manure everywhere where I need it. And then you can take your bale feeder and your bales of hay and go wherever it is on your farm that you might need it. It's also great to do maybe on hillsides where you don't want to take that tractor and the manure spreader. I love farming this way. And I want to check out some more farming. So why don't you head down with me to Dairy Expo?
Every year, dairy farmers from around the world come to Madison, Wisconsin for the World Dairy Expo. Here, you can see the best cows from all 7 major breeds on display and in competition. The World Dairy Expo is part trade show, part cattle competition, and most importantly, a place where farmers from all over come together to celebrate dairy farming.
Katie, thank you so much for taking some time out today to talk with me about Dairy Expo. For those folks that have never been here before, can you explain what World Dairy Expo is?
Absolutely. So World Dairy Expo is the meeting place of the global dairy industry. So for 5 days, we bring together the top dairy cattle in North America to compete on the colored shavings. We have 859 companies that serve the dairy industry in our trade show this year. And then we also provide educational resources for our attendees. And over the course of 5 days, we welcome nearly 65,000 guests to Madison, Wisconsin. So really it serves as this giant education forum and business opportunity for our dairy community.
Cattle showing is a really big deal here at Expo. And can you talk a little bit about, these are some of the top cows, and how does that work out?
Yeah, so a lot of times there's a family tradition in our dairy cattle show, and we love it. Some of the founding members, their families still show here at World Dairy Expo. So it's really a family piece a lot of times. There's also a business aspect to dairy cattle showing. The top genetics are competing, so they can put those genetics to the test and then also hopefully be rewarded for them in a sale either of the cow of herself or of her offspring.
So why is this a great place for folks to come who are dairy farmers? Is it just really the learning and the networking?
That's a large part of it. So we provide some really great educational opportunities for dairy producers or just people in the dairy community or enthusiasts. So we have expo seminars that feature some of the top researchers across the country. We have industry representatives that help us figure out what topics are impacting dairy producers, and we try to build our schedule around those topics. So all of those pieces come together, and then they're all connected through the trade show and through the Dairy Cattle Show, and really just the people that come together for World Dairy Expo. And even if it is just to network and get together with old friends or meet new ones, there's always just such a camaraderie about being at World Dairy Expo.
Well, it's fun. It's, you know, as farmers, people are really, really busy, and it's fun to come here, and I can see some friends here and there, and oh, I haven't seen you since last year when we were at World Dairy Expo.
That happens a lot. Yeah, it is.
What's your favorite part about the expo?
I really enjoy the people. I'm one of those that I see them once a year. So I spend my week helping out our media partners at World Dairy Expo. And they're amazing people. And I love helping them tell our exhibitors stories. But I just love being out in the barns and talking with friends that I only see once a year when they're here. So it's really incredible, the group of individuals that come together why we're having World Dairy Expo.
Well, Katie, thank you so much for taking some time today, and I'm going to go check out some more of the cows.
Ooh, have fun.
One of the highlights of World Dairy Expo is the Future Farmers of America cattle judging competition. Future farmers from around the state of Wisconsin come to Madison to test their skills. I was especially interested in the competition this year because it gives me a chance to see my nephew Ethan in action. A teenager from Cumberland, Ethan is the 2019 Hoard's Dairyman Magazine International Youth Dairy Cattle Judging Champion.
If you grew up on a dairy farm, there's a good chance that you grew up with Hoard's Dairyman magazine. It's been a part of our kitchen table ever since I can remember. And that's why I'm so excited and proud of my nephew Ethan that he won the International Hoard's Dairyman Youth Cow Judging Competition. Ethan, how many different countries participated in this event?
There was 10 countries, 48 states, and 12,727 applicants.
That is a huge accomplishment. I'm so proud of you. What is it about dairy judging that you like?
I just like to be around the cows and then to meet new people, go to new places.
Absolutely. Well, it's fun because you can do it with your classmates too, right? So what do you look for in a cow?
I look at 4 different traits. The first thing I look for is the udder, and I want to find a high and wide udder because that's the most points out of the 100 score. And then I want to look for the dairy strength, which is like the breed characteristics, like which one fits the breed most and like has the best ribbing. And then I look for the frame and the feet and legs.
And the frame is just their whole body, right? Yeah. Okay. I heard earlier when you were judging, they said they also had some questions that they were asking you on your sheet of paper. What were the questions?
It's just questions about the whole group. So like which cow has the best udder is a question, or which cow stands the best on their pasterns.
So what do you think about Naomi? She's the Wisconsin Cow of the Year. What would you say about her?
Yeah, she's really nice. She has a really strong front end and a lot of good ribbing.
How did you learn how to do this? I know it wasn't me that taught you.
Well, we have practices, and then we go to the different farms, and then we just have like 5 different classes of 4 cows, and then we judge them, and then our instructor gives us the actual answer and how we can improve.
What's one of your favorite parts of being in 4-H and FFA?
Probably just meeting a bunch of new people and going to places like World Dairy Expo.
So do you think that dairy might be in your future?
Maybe. I'm not sure what I want to do yet.
Well, I hope we can make this a tradition of coming down to Dairy Expo together. Well, I'm going to let Ethan go explore with his classmates, and then why don't you and I go do a little exploring as well?
I took a short break from World Dairy Expo and traveled down the road to Columbus to visit the Sassy Cow Creamery, where the Bearwolf family has found a way to turn the milk from their family dairy farm into sweet treats.
James, thank you so much for having me out to Sassy Cow Creamery. So tell me a little bit about your family history.
Yeah, we appreciate you visiting us. We've been here quite a while. Our grandparents started here in the 40s, then Dad, and raised us kids in that. So now it's my brother Rob and myself, our families. We've been doing that since we got out of school. Sassy Cow now has just turned 12, but we've been around cows our whole life.
How did you decide to get into the business of making products out of your milk?
Well, we had been thinking about it for quite a while. The farm is our first love. Like we don't want to do a career change. We're dairy farmers, but now with doing it this way, it just allows us to take that one step farther and actually make products that will reach customers of our own.
Yeah, and that's got to be pretty satisfying too when you're drinking your own milk and you're able to make ice cream with your own milk. I like seeing farms having, you know, products coming from one farm. I think it's nice.
Yeah, one sentiment we get a lot, people like to see the work they've done. Farming is very good at that, and so one of those rewards about the fruits of your labor, a little more evident.
Yeah, I know when I take my milk and I make it into something at my house, whether that's ice cream or if I'm making a sauce or whatever, I always feel like it makes the food taste better because I know exactly where it came from, you know, from the beginning to the end.
Absolutely.
Well, speaking of that end product, I'd love to see the creamery where all the ice cream is made and find out about that process and then taste some ice cream if that's all right.
Absolutely, but the cows don't make ice cream, so we got to go to the plant next.
Okay. So how did your family know that you guys wanted to start with making ice cream and bottled milk and all sorts of wonderful things?
Yeah, definitely. We've always been here just outside of Dane County. Madison's kind of our home turf. And farming is what we've always done, but also getting a little farther down the chain and actually making products like ice cream and milk. It was a good time in our farming operation to do that.
Sure, and it's great now in the farming climate that we have now. It must be nice knowing that you have a place for your milk to go all the time and you know, having that product.
Yeah, it's a kind of a mixed blessing. We're fortunate that we have some stability in that, but also a lot of busyness and a lot of just swapping out one set of worries for another.
So I'm really familiar with the process of making cheese, you know, all that goes into it, but I've never made ice cream on this scale. Can you walk me through that process?
Yes, ice cream really, it's not such a big mystery. We start with milk, cream, and sugar, so that's our ice cream mix, and that's the base of everything then from vanilla to chocolate and everything in between. Starts with that base, and we're adding the ingredients. Well, we have a couple small batch freezers, put everything together, and then it comes out like a thick shake. And from there, we'll put it in a container, and put it in a cold hardening freezer so that within by the next day then it's ready to ship out.
So I have to ask you, do you have a favorite ice cream flavor?
Actually, I get asked that a lot. Usually my favorite one is the one that the girls have made the most recent. Like the newest thing is always like the most exciting. So I'll stay on that one for a while, and then they come up with another new one, and then that'll be my new favorite.
Well, do you mind if we go try some
Well,
so I can see what's my favorite?
Yeah, I wouldn't have you leave without.
Good. Well, this is my favorite part of any creamery tour, is trying the final product. Can I try the salted caramel?
Sure can.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Well, I'm gonna finish this ice cream and then I'll see you back at Dairy Expo. Delicious.
Back at the World Dairy Expo, Brian's family is working with a professional cattle groomer to get their cows ready for the show. Brian's family has been raising brown Swiss cattle on their farm in New Glarus for generations, and his father was part of the group of farmers responsible for establishing the World Dairy Expo in Madison.
Brian, thank you so much for taking a little time out of showing today to chat with me. Can you tell me about the history of your family farm?
Okay, the history actually started back in 1854. Our family came over with the Swiss immigrants 165 years ago near the village of New Glarus.
Where you guys are still farming now.
Where we still farm now. We're in between a little town called Monticello and New Glarus. We were a dairy farm with the native cattle, and then in 1895 we got our first registered brown Swiss, and for the last 125 years we've had brown Swiss.
Wow, you guys must be one of the oldest Swiss farms in the United States.
there's probably older, but we're certainly
Right
one of
up
the
there.
older ones, yes.
And your dad helped found World Dairy Expo.
Yeah, there was a core of a few dairymen that they got together, and my father happened to be one of the 4 or 5 of the nucleus that helped format and formulate this. And now it's actually considered, the last I heard, it was like the number 37 largest trade show in the United States.
Wow.
I don't think any of those gentlemen, as great as they were, could have ever thought that it would turn into something like this.
Yeah, and people are coming from all over the world.
It is, that's a part that absolutely blows my mind. Every year we do a count of how many different countries, and we are always knocking on the door of 100 different countries that people come to visit, and it's mind-blowing. I mean, it's the UN of the dairy industry. So
I remember when I was a little girl, I grew up on a dairy farm in Washington State, and my brother came here for his FFA judging team.
Okay.
And it was like a really big deal. And now we're just 2 hours away. It's just really fun.
yeah, I mean, it's kind of funny. We're 30 minutes away, which it's incredible the amount of work it takes just for us. And there's people that travel days to come. I mean, from Canada and California, the East Coast.
What does it take to bring a cow here to show? Do you have to qualify?
You don't have to qualify, but I mean, this is the best of the best come here. I mean, it is probably considered it is the elite show in the world because of all the great cattle, the trade show, the foreign visitors. So, I mean, this is probably considered one of the most of the elite shows in the world. So, but you don't have to necessarily qualify, but for the expense, all the work it takes,
You want to
normally
make sure that you can,
come
yeah.
here.
Yeah, I hope maybe one day I can bring a cow down to Expo.
Bring a good one. Yeah. So yeah, it's fun. I mean, it's absolutely incredible. I mean, the coolest thing for me is that I did this with my grandfather. I did it with my father. I'm doing it with my kids. It's 4 generations now. And as I'm in the barn, working with my kids, I go, this is the coolest thing. My daughter's a nurse. She takes a week off to come here and work 18 hours a day working with cattle. And it's absolutely a great, I couldn't think of anything more unique to do, and they love it, and it's a great bonding experience. So it's been fun that way.
That is lovely.
And the you know, and again, great people that come here from all over, people that you meet year to year, and so it's really a unique event.
Well, I know you're busy, and I'm going to let you get back in the show ring, and then I'm going to come see how you guys are doing.
All right. Well, no guarantees, but we're there. We're participating, and hopefully we do all right.
Well,
so,
good luck.
And thank you so much. Thanks.
So since we're celebrating everything about dairy today and we're living in Wisconsin, what better way to celebrate than making the star of our dish cheese? And I don't think there's a better way to make the star of the dish cheese than by doing fondue. Fondue translates, it's a French word for melted. And what I love about fondue is you can be a little bit creative with it, use whatever cheeses you have on hand or whatever cheeses are your favorite, as long as they're hard, sturdy cheeses. And I love a farmstead cheese, and I can't wait to be done with my creamery so that eventually I can be making fondue with our own cheese here on the farm. It's very simple. We're gonna grate all of our cheese, and then I'm gonna heat up some dry white wine, a little bit of lemon juice, and then I'll toss the cheese with the cornstarch, and that's going to help stabilize everything. And it helps the cheese sort of melt evenly. And one of the most important things is you don't want to start with pre-shredded cheese. That already has different things going on in it and different solutions so that it doesn't stick together. You want to start with good quality cheese, and you want to grate it yourself. After we've melted the cheese down a little bit, I'm going to finish it off with a little bit of Kirsch and some nutmeg and some fresh cracked pepper, and then we'll be ready for lunch. To start out, we're gonna start grating the cheese, and I have 3 different cheeses here. This is an Emmentaler, which is a Swiss-style cheese. And you know, the fondue was invented in the Swiss Alps and where it was very cold in the wintertime. And a lot of the folks that dairy farmed, they would make cheese during the season, so from spring till fall, and then they had to have their cheese carry them through the wintertime. And so as winter got going longer and longer, they had less and less cheese, and they would take each individual little bits of cheese that they had left over, throw it in a pot with a little bit of wine and some stale bread that they had left over, and mix everything together and made fondue. I love these peasant-style dishes. They're really lovely. Now that I have all this beautiful cheese grated, I'm going to add it to my bowl, toss it with the cornstarch to coat it, and that's what's going to help keep it thick when I'm cooking it. And then I'm going to heat up my wine and my lemon juice, and then I'll start melting the cheese. And now I'm just going to add all the cheese to a bowl, most of it anyway. And then I'm going to coat that with a little over a tablespoon of cornstarch and get everything nice and coated, really work it. One thing I love about fondue is that you can find these retro fondue pots sometimes at thrift sales or antique stores, and I love the way they look. I think it really adds something to the meal. Before I put the pot on the heat, I'm going to crush 1 clove of garlic, and then I'll use that to wipe on the inside of my fondue pot, and that'll impart a little bit more flavor to the fondue. Now I'm going to add about 1/2 cup of dry wine, white wine. I suppose you could use beer if you wanted to, but I'm going to add some wine. And a little bit of lemon, fresh squeezed. And then once that heats up a little bit, I'm going to start adding the cheese. Add the cheese a little bit at a time and constantly stir the cheese. This is a time when you don't want to leave the stove. You really want to concentrate on this cheese. And if you're doing this for a party, which is kind of fun, just have everybody in the kitchen making their own pots of fondue, and it can be a celebration, and you just have to really commit to staying at the stove watching the cheese so that you're not going to overcook it. If you overcook it, it can get really stringy, which is not really what you want for fondue. Now that the cheese is beautifully melted, I'm going to top this off with some freshly grated nutmeg. smells so good in here, the nutmeg especially. And then a little bit of Kirsch. Kirsch is just a clear cherry flavored brandy, and this is made right here in Wisconsin, up in Door County. And now I'm gonna serve this on the table over some flames so that it keeps the fondue nice and melted. And I love serving this kind of thing to a group of people because when you're eating communally like this, it really brings you together. Serve the fondue with cubes of bread, cornichons, cherry tomatoes, and roasted potatoes. They say not to drink water when eating fondue because it will coagulate in your tummy. So toast with a nice cold beer. Well, I hope this has inspired you to make fondue for your farming friends, and I hope you'll gather with us next time around the farm table. I'm your host, Inga Witcher. Thanks for coming, guys.
Around the Farm Table is funded in part by Wisconsin Farmers Union, united to grow family agriculture, Heartland Credit Union, a gift in memory of Wendy Bladorn, Focus Fund for Wisconsin Programming, and Friends of Wisconsin Public Television.